when I decided to have a crack on my own, I went and saw the Hooker Rex manager at the time, and I said, I'd like to price that next job you got down here. And he said, well, you just told me that you're not interested in, and I said, no, not Leighton's, this is me. And he was taken aback a bit, and had to check with Sydney, the head office, and he came back and he said, okay. He said, but don't let me down, sort of thing. And we won the first job I priced, a job at Burleigh Waters.
Family businesses can be somewhat all-encompassing, and everyone's chipping in, so there was always activity around the house, for a period of time at the office, originally working from home, but ultimately from an office just down the road from where we lived. So, we'd pop in there most afternoons after school and engage with the guys working with Dad and delivering projects. So it was all kind of exciting, there's always stuff happening. As I said, on weekends, we'd get around with Dad to the jobs and see what we're doing. As a young kid, big earth moving equipment, and it's kind of exciting. In our school holidays, my grandparents used to take us on the pay runs. Every Thursday they used to deliver the pay packets to all the boys on the site, back in the days where they still hand out cash in envelopes every week. So we'd get around the jobs in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, and it was a great time. So that was a really important time in the business, that early 90s, and with lots of family business, I'm sure they'll have the same conversation about family coming into the business as to whether it's the right thing to do, whether you should go somewhere else and bring other experiences into the family business. But it was growing. We're in a period of significant growth at that point in time, and 12 months prior, so in '94, we'd expanded into North Queensland. There was opportunities emerging as we grew our footprint geographically and expand our client base. So, Hooker Rex was our predominant client over that first 10 plus years of the business, and we'd started working with developers like Delphin and Stockland, and through those relationships, they'd opened up opportunities in North Queensland. So when I came into the business, very quickly we secured a project in North Queensland, in Cairns. It was the largest contract BMD had ever secured, which was an $11 million canal subdivision in North Queensland. And we won it on the Friday, and on the Monday I was in the ute on my way to North Queensland.
I think it's important to note that the negotiations around him starting work with us were all his way, because I had a notion that he should go and work elsewhere because he'd done so well at uni. He got the Dean's Prize, and he had a lot of job offers. But I felt that it would have been desirable for him to go elsewhere. And I think that was one of the reasons when we decided, okay, he's intent on starting with us, but it won't be with me. And that's when he was sent further afield. We were very fortunate that I'd engaged in what I call relationship contracting. And I was very focused on delivery to the client at the highest level. And what we did in those days with the crew of people that I had, I don't think has been replicated. It sounds very boastful, but honestly, what we were doing on subdivisions in those days, you don't see it today, and that's not a criticism. I think it's just there's been so many different parameters that have been added in that delay the projects from being completed like we did in those early days, and efficiency on the project. But paramount to what we were doing was the quality of what we were doing and delivering for our client.
And I think whilst things have changed over time, it still remains an important part of our business, relationships, and not just with clients, but internally, the relationship you got with your people, but also the supply chain. Yeah, I mean, we had a philosophy around being this sort of one-stop shop, and we saw it as a competitive advantage. And at the time, several years earlier, we'd established a small in-house engineering design consultancy. So with the property group, the engineering consultancy and the construction capability, we saw that as representing a significant competitive advantage. So I guess the priority for Urbex was around driving that efficiency and utilising that as competitive advantage to grow our footprint. So we looked primarily, obviously every Urbex project, we looked at the dynamics of it as a pure property play, but then also prioritised opportunities that complemented our construction footprint. Working in joint ventures is something we've always done a lot of, particularly in the property space, and the opportunity to offer our services to a wider number of projects through sharing some of the equity in those projects with other partners allowed us to do more. So it opened up more opportunity for our construction and consulting businesses to offer those services to a broader base of clients and projects. I think we always had as a strategy, geographic diversification as a key pillar. Particularly having grown up in Queensland and particularly having moved into North Queensland as our sort of initial growth path into regional Queensland, we were subject to the sort of seasonal variances that you get in Queensland, right? So you got 3 or 4 months of the year where it's hard to get stuff done. So we always had a period of time in the year when we were Queensland centric where it got really tight, from cash and managing that through that wet season. So the opportunity to have a stronger geographic footprint was something that we were particularly focused on in terms of trying to balance out our cash flows. So, the southern winters tend to be a bit wetter, and the southern summers are pretty dry. So you had the strongest months in the southern region coincided with the weaker months in the northern region. So that was always the thinking around our sort of geographic expansion. But the way we went about it was different for every region. Say in our initial early days, we grew on the back of the relationships with the likes of Delphin Property Group, who were one of the largest developers in Australia. So we supported them in Townsville and Cairns, and across to Darwin, into Melbourne, together with the work we were doing at Berwick, and working with Delphin in Melbourne. And Sydney, Holroyd Gardens. But then, we were given the opportunity to acquire a business in Sydney through our relationship with Australand, Walker Civil Engineering, when they acquired the Walker Group. So we took on the civil operations there. So that was a different approach. So where we'd generally been organic in our growth, we'd actually made an acquisition in New South Wales. And then when it came more recently to somewhere like Western Australia, it was a market, again, to sort of strengthen our geographic footprint we were interested in. But we had a key manager within the business who, for personal reasons, wanted to move to WA. So the opportunity to support a very competent and capable operator who wanted to be in a new market was one that we saw some value in, so we supported that. So there's been different reasons or different approaches to each of the markets. Some of them have delivered results quicker or easier than others, but for the most part, all of them have achieved ultimately the objective.
My dad was a brilliant man manager, but I think that observing him and the work hard, play hard side of things, plus Dad used to always say, these blokes don't work for you, they work with you. That's something that I love to repeat, and I think that's a very important part of building a strong relationship and culture that is has some longevity when you're trying to perform at the highest levels.
We've really tried to instill what those attributes were that made BMD special or different, and we talk about the BMD way a lot in the business now that really tries to capture what those values were that drove the way we worked with each other, the way we worked with our clients. And so that's a really big focus for us now in terms of trying to pass those messages on within the business. We've got a 20-year club that's got over 100 members now, and those 100 plus people are really strong custodians of the culture of the business and And we really focus on that group as a key group to try and drive the culture that we're still very proud of. The community is such an important part of civil construction. It has the ability to be very disruptive to people's lives, so there's a need for some goodwill with the community, and one of the ways we can generate a bit of goodwill is just by being active and supporting the communities. We really encourage our teams to work with the communities, whether it be volunteering their time to support different causes or financially supporting events. We see it as an important part of allowing us to do what we do best with a bit of support from the community because of the support we provide to them. We've got lots of really good people who we want to see succeed, and their success is our success. We're really focused as a business on creating opportunities for people. We talk about our business being our people, and as much as it sounds a bit cliche, it's something that does drive the way we think about what we're doing. Is where are the next opportunities for our people? We've got these great people doing a great job. What is the next opportunity for them? And in that, that drives you towards being open to opportunities for growth. I think we're in a really interesting period within the group. We're in a period of growth. Record turnover this year, just gone. We'll achieve another record turnover this coming financial year. And we want to use the success in this period to really catapult the business forward for the next 10 or 15 years. We can see parts of the Australian market that have been really critical to the growth we've achieved over the last several years tightening. So I guess we're always interested in trying to find market opportunities where there's a bit more margin and a bit more opportunity to make a quid, which ultimately is what we're still about. So in looking further afield, we are interested in going offshore and leveraging our really good people and the really strong brand and capability experience we've built over 40 years to avail and to open up opportunities. So I really see the next 5 years being about setting the business up for the next 15. And I think the future for BMD looks pretty bright in terms of what the future holds. Global domination could be on the cards, but we won't get ahead of ourselves. One step at a time, and say back our good people to deliver good results.